Before I wrap up these formal remarks, let me leave you with some specific thoughts about the CBC. To me, not surprisingly, the foundation of the CBC is and always will be its news and current affairs department. The purpose of a public broadcaster is to reflect the country to itself so we can better understand each other, to expose Canadians to their nation from coast to coast to coast, to expose Canadians to the world and our place in it, to celebrate what makes us great, and to question those things which hold us back from greatness. That's what a public broadcaster should do. There's no better way to understand a country and its citizens than by telling their stories, all their stories. The CBC is a lifeline for so many small communities throughout the country, something we should be proud of, but never take for granted. Instead, we should strive to do better in covering our communities, whether they are big or small. Do better in covering our country. Do better in covering our world. It also means that if there's a group of Canadians, any group, who don't see themselves in their public broadcaster, then we're not doing our job properly. If we're not reflecting all of Canada and the people who make this country what it is, then we run the risk of being irrelevant to the country we're meant to serve as its public broadcaster. And if we lose relevance, if we lose our impact, then we don't deserve to exist. As I mentioned earlier, I'm leaving my post as chief correspondent on July 1st. The National will be changing. Not just a new face or faces at the helm, but new formats, a new renewed mission. The National has to change because the way we consume news is changing. And my leaving has given the CBC the opportunity to try something new, as it should, to reflect demographic and generational shifts as well as technological change. At a time like this, a smart organization needs to infuse itself with new thinking and a new spirit of what's next. And it needs to do that from the very top of the CBC down. It's an exciting time. And while I can't tell you the details, I can tell you it's going to be ambitious, it's going to be risky, it's going to be bold, but it will be principled, as our journalism always has been. It will build upon our foundation and our history of storytelling, facts, accuracy, credibility, context, depth, and understanding. But it won't work. It won't work if it's not properly supported by those at the very top of our organization. It simply won't work without money, without resources, without providing new space for young and smart people, and perhaps most importantly, it won't work without protecting the news division from all those who want to cut into its budget and cut into its time. In another few weeks, the Stanley Cup playoffs begin. You know, the one with the Senators and the Leafs in it. The playoffs begin and CBC television will again be front and center, delivering hockey to home screens across the country for up to 2 months. And again this year, the National will be delayed or shortened or simply preempted. This in spite of the fact that today CBC doesn't make a nickel out of running hockey. All those commercials you see support the rights holder, and the rights holder is not the CBC. Now, CBC will say that it's all free programming for us. It's programming we don't have to produce, we don't have to pay for. We can fill our airways with somebody else's programming. So we're saving money. Sorry, that's not the point as far as I'm concerned. Now, don't get me wrong, I love hockey. I love professional hockey. Love it. I'm a season tickets holder in 2 cities. Don't ask. And I'm an avid viewer on television during the regular season and during the playoffs. But why is a commercial sport allowed to hijack the public broadcaster's schedule? I don't envy those at the top of the CBC ladder. Various senior executives who have spent time at the corporation over the years have had to make a lot of difficult decisions. Some of those decisions have worked, others have not. The current crop of CBC senior executives are now asking its journalists to be bold in planning the future. I agree with that. That's the right advice. We need to be bold. But I'd also ask those same executives to be bold themselves in protecting their journalists by resisting the temptation to let commercial considerations rule the day. Instead, the priorities of public broadcasting, and you know what mine are, have to be recognized. And that means understanding the cost of doing good journalism. Let me rephrase that. The cost of doing excellent journalism. This new national has to work. And by that, I don't mean returning to some long-gone era, but to boldly move into a new and exciting future. Top CBCers have to realize that their support and protection is critical to making that work. Now, of course, drama, arts, culture, entertainment, sports, especially amateur sports, those are all important parts of telling the Canadian story too. But again, in my view, nothing is as important as what we do. Because we are an instrumental part of what makes this country work. Nothing less than democracy itself depends on a healthy and free press. And we at the CBC, we are the ones who should lead the way in demonstrating why good journalism is key to the future success of our society, our democracy, and our country. Thank you for the invitation to be here tonight. And thanks so much for your attention. I'm really looking forward to your questions. Thank you.